Start with the Carlton Football Club. Unthinkably, they might miss they look destined to miss the finals, Caro, and on the back of yesterday. And this will increase pressure on the football department that has been through pressure before. We've already seen one departure in Andrew Russell, and now the scrutiny will grow on the back of the fitness issues.
Well, they've made the call that Michael Voss is their man. So, and that I believe is the right decision. But I still think that there will be moves made underneath Michael Voss. Maybe one will be made out of force because Ashley Hansen could end up coaching the West Coast. But I think also, Craig, the big question now is who is going to take over the high performance role and how are they going to fix their medical team. They made some changes. They did a big review earlier this year. Clearly more changes have to be made. And I think there are some big questions now on a number of players, Kane.
Yeah, look, I think we can look at that, and we can look at who is involved in the footy department. I think it's a little bit reactive to do that, though. I think it is, because it's the same group that we questioned when they were struggling in the early stages of last year.
There's no doubt the high performance in the medical team.
The high performance, absolutely. Well, it has to be, because Andrew Russell has left, so they need to replace him.
And that was the right decision.
And they will review that. I think he's excellent what he does, but I think the time has come for them to move on and go in a different direction. But to question the names that we put up on the screen, I'm not sure why we do that, because we did that last year and they turned it around. There's been key injuries. I think the Koning injury
have they turned it around?
Well, they did last year. They're 5 goals up in a prelim final, and
but they haven't turned it around this year.
Round 14. Are they wasting an era of?
Well, maybe that's out of their control. I think it's incredibly reactive to do that. You take out your ruckman, your key forward, your star is playing injured. You get the injuries that you've had this year. It disrupts all your continuity. I'm with you. Michael Voss is the guy. They need to back him in. Carlton fans need to relax, and I think it's unfair to question the footy staff.
I'm not questioning the footy staff.
Why did we put it up? Why did we put it up then?
Well, I didn't put it up. I'm just saying they're looking at everyone, and I think there will be some changes, and clearly Ashley Hansen could force that change. He's one of the favourites for the West Coast job.
The significant images
but I just have to take you to task. I don't want to be brutal about Andrew Russell, who did some brilliant stuff at Hawthorn, but you can't say the same of his job at Carlton. I'm not saying it's necessarily his fault, but you can't say he fixed their high performance.
5 goals up in a prelim final. It's a pretty good effort. It's a pretty good effort, and I mean,
that's Andrew Russell, is it?
Well, it's important. It's an important role. It's the second most important role behind the senior coach. Yes, absolutely. You review it like you do every year, like you should do at Richmond when they have that, and they've got a replacement. It's not a point arguing about it.
While we're talking about Andrew Russell, the head of fitness, Michael Voss was asked about him after the game, and then we'll hear from Josh Weddle, the Hawthorn star's reaction to the game plan yesterday.
Vossy, just on Andrew Russell, was that purely his decision or was it mutual?
No, we've been talking with Jack for probably about 7 or 8 weeks, and he sort of conveyed that at that point in time he was thinking about being able to do something else. So the latest conversation we had was merely confirming that next direction, and it's not about one person. It's about a collective. And we'll solve the problem together.
Yeah, we knew that their work rate's not the strongest in the fourth quarter, so we were may as well start it from the start to get them tired early. And then, when we heard that they were getting numbers down, we were like, let's just keep going, and really tired them out.
Pretty honest from a guy who plays very much in that matter. Just these were the images for me, Lordo, of yesterday. You saw a bench with really no one there. Michael Voss. Got really very little, if any, players left to activate in the game. And that's obviously the role you're there to do, is to communicate with the players. And then you've got a box upstairs with a lot of people scratching their heads. We heard in the commentary Jordan Lewis make reference to the mood on the bench and the manner in which the other players were supporting. Did you think they had a bad day in the coach's box and on the bench yesterday?
I think, Hutchie, they were going to be beaten no matter what, because I thought Hawthorn were all over them from the start. And then the injury started and it just fell. It got belted by a bigger margin than they would have. But Hawthorn would have beaten them anyway, because I think of the run and the carry that they had that Carlton don't have. So I'm with Kane. I think Andrew Russell's been fantastic, but it's time, and in that time that they'll go in a different direction. But I think it's more the mix of style of player that's an issue for them. So again,
they've committed to a lot of players long term.
So I look at it, they can't do much there. They've got Ollie Hollands, Elijah Hollands. It's just the type of mix of midfield that they've got, which is an issue for them. But this is the area for me. I don't think you can go in with those key defenders next year. I think Brodie Kemp has been thrown to the Wolves, isn't the player that he's been monstered a lot. So I think a second defender. Look at Hawthorn. They're going after Barras and they're going after Battle. I hope Carlton, if they've got salary cap room...
They've got no money to
do
that. They've signed Lewis Young.
Who else? You can trade someone else.
No currency for those guys.
For any of them.
Where are they going to find any currency for the players playing their seconds.
Not seconds. I'm saying you trade out a player that
They've got
plays every week.
5 or 6
for you.
players committed in their seconds
You
already.
trade out a midfielder to get in a key back.
The playing personnel is clearly the issue, but I won't have it be said that the soft tissue injuries have not been a curse for the club this year.
Yeah.
They did a massive review. They brought in 2 senior physios who had to come in and help out because it was such a debacle. I mean, you can't say the high performance has been good this year, and there were problems in the past too.
Kane, you bought every stock available on Hawthorn at the start of the year. You're a big believer in the strategy. You've called him the genius, and that's ageing very well. And it's the way they spread the ground that's been the impact.
Might have been a couple of years ago, I reckon, Hutchie. But look at this. Their high half forwards come up so high, and then their ball movement, which Lordo wants to talk about, their kicking ability off half back. And just look at the run and the dare that they play with. Now, since round 8, they're the second highest scoring side. They're number 1 for defence. And this is in part because this is infectious. This gives you energy. Scoring gives you energy, and then you all get involved and they all join in. And the thing I love about him is how even it is. And this goes back to February in 2023 on the rebuild, which was questioned. This is Sam Mitchell. I think if there are a whole group of clubs doing the same thing, it's possibly less likely to work. So if you think about the clubs that have rebuilt well, they were the only clubs doing it at the time. What that does is it gives you a point of difference, and when you're building a list and building a strategy, if you're trying to do what everyone else is doing, the resources are finite. So I'm really confident. So that how well has that aged?
February 23.
And that was bold.
And so I love the thinking of that.
You did.
And I suspect it's going to become infectious. We love trends in footy, and it's going to put pressure, I think, on boards who are going to question their recruiting strategies harder than ever before. If you're a mid-tier club spinning and topping up and trading, it takes a very brave board, and it takes a coach that drives it. And what I love about this is he's driven it himself. He's been clear how many picks he wants. He's influenced who those selections
He's
are.
running that football club in a football sense, isn't he?
He's pitching
the
players
boss.
himself.
Weren't we critical
He's
though, of
trading.
Alistair Clarkson when he used to do that? Like, we were critical that he was involved too much?
But he made some poor decisions.
Well,
Alistair. And Alistair had Graham Wright and he had Chris Fagan for a long time. I don't feel that there's a really strong person pulling the strings in the way Graham Wright did and the way Chris Fagan did. It's different now.
You've got to be right, though.
Yeah, I'm saying, but aren't we very reactive again in that because they're playing well, we go, oh, how great is this that he's involved in everything? If it doesn't go well, we say, gee, the coach, he's involved in everything.
We all questioned, a lot of us questioned it at the start of last year. I arrowed myself mid-season and said I was wrong. He's done exactly the right thing. But I think Craig's right because soon we're going to have a 19th club. So not only do they need to do it, Craig, they need to do it soon. Clubs like St Kilda
I think he's
and
got less
Adelaide.
blind spots than Alistair in recruiting.
I like it because you live and die. You're the one that's coaching.
Yep.
So
You are always anyway, aren't you?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, so he's taking goal kicking into his own hands, he's taking recruiting, game style and all that.
And Weddle's comments, that's straight out of the Sam Mitchell hymn book. I mean, he's creating players in his own image.